So I'm Joe Bates. I kind of decided to do this just to show at least my experience with this. So I'm recording this the third day of January 2021, and this will be released January 2nd of 2022. The reason that I'm doing this is to kind of show what I'm going through with this. And there's little information. So, called into ministry. And so I started looking at different seminary colleges, different Bible colleges, and kind of the one that made the most sense for me was the LCMS Seminary. And there's two of them. One of them is in St. Louis, one is in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I decided to go to the St. Louis campus. It just made the most sense. For me, timeline-wise, it sounded better, and so that's where I'd applied, and that has a whole backstory in and of itself. And even with what I'm doing, it's not like I just woke up and decided. It was probably close to a 5-year process to get here, and that might be a topic for a different video, or if people really want to hear that whole story. But as I was looking for information, like what is everything like, what is the seminary life like, what is the process, you can see stuff about the process on the websites. But as far as someone actually documenting what people have done and what seminary life is like, there's no one doing it. No one's done a video on it. No one's done vlogs or blogs or anything. There's one little tiny snippet on the LCMS Reddit or subreddit. I'm not really sure how that stuff works. I can show it right here. There's not really much at all. It's maybe a couple pages total written out. So I want to show what I'm kind of doing, show what's going on, show kind of what it's like. No one's really documented it, at least that I can find at this point. And kind of over the years, I have collected a handful of books. One of them is this one, and even though it's not meant for men, it's actually a women's devotional. It has a lot of good Bible passages, and it's really just short. But there we go. But Letting Go and Trusting God, it was very informational when I needed it. And it's kind of just a free-range book. It's not very guided. It's like, you have a problem, you try and find it in this. It's there, it's not. It is what it is. Pamela L. McQuaid, I think is how you pronounce the last name. This is pretty good. The other one that I'm going to use is Words of Jesus for Men. And I don't remember where I picked these books up. It was just kind of, I bought them at some point in time. There's a women's one of this as well. I know my grandma has it, and it has a purple cover. I think it's a purple cover. So I'm going to try and look for each one of these, something out of this, whether it's the day that it's going to be posted, the day that I'm on, whatever it might be. And so, it makes these videos just a little bit longer. It makes them more informational, but also brings more scripture into it than just me sitting looking at a camera for however long. And right now I'm recording through a GoPro, through a capture card on my computer, and I'm looking at the OBS footage on the screen just behind the camera. So if you see me looking up or looking around, that's what it is. And I want to start off. Let's start off with the Lord's Prayer. That's how I have it. I made a page of notes. The Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. So one part that I want to sit and put in was actually put in by my church's DCE. Sat down and there was a Bible study that he was leading relatively recently, and we've been dealing with COVID and everything, and so we just opened back up in September for in-house services. We had been pre-recording everything. Actually, when did we start over? I don't even remember. I'd have to look it up. But we've been doing like a family Bible study, and one day it was me, him, and one other person that would be in the senior youth. So it was just like, let's do a little impromptu one so that we don't have to follow it. And he kind of gave me this idea of, I forget what he called it. I'm just going to call it Trials and Tribulations, because that just makes a lot of sense. And I'm gonna try and get this to tie into that trial or kind of the struggle that you have that I have that week. And the one trial that I had was seeing how soon school is starting. It starts roughly May 25th if I end up going during the summer. I have a ton of work to do, and it includes finding a place to live down there. I live in Minneapolis right now, and I have to find a place in St. Louis, Missouri. I have to try and find tuition money, the money to move, and it all weighs heavy on my mind, and it makes me, nervous and anxious because there's so much to do in a relatively little amount of time. And at the same time, finding time to work, trying to do all the stuff that I have going on. And so that anxiousness and nervousness is kind of a fear in a way. And so on page 17, there's a little guide that says nothing to fear. In the Bible, verse 4, it's Deuteronomy 31, verse 8. The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. And that was very, very insightful and kind of helps. And that's an Old Testament reading. But even if you go into Matthew, I think it's 28:20. It's the very end of the Great Commission. I should have pulled that up too. But it's basically knowing that God's always by your side. Jesus is always by your side, and you're never alone. And it's one thing that, as we go through this scary time of transition, I have to remind myself that, it's going to be okay. And getting all of that stuff kind of worked out. The tribulation or the celebration I get to share is I have all of the current church years, what would they be? All the readings. The readings through the end of the church year. So it'll get me almost through Christmas of 2022. No, 2021. So I have all of that finished up for the YouTube descriptions for the church that I'm currently at. And it's definitely my home church. And, it was very exciting. It was a lot of work, but it was very exciting to get that done and to be able to sit and say, you know what, save, done. That's one less thing that I have to worry about. And one less thing that I have to do now before leaving. We will still have to train someone in, but that is something for another day. So, making a mess of my paperwork already. The Brown book reading. Which one do I want? Yeah, I don't really like that one. Alright, so the one that I had written down in my notes, I think is what I'm going to go with. So for this one, January 2nd is the day, and it's based off of Luke chapter 9, verse 25. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world and yet lose or forfeit their very self? And in a way, it's very reminiscent kind of what we see a lot of. The little note at the bottom, it says side with Jesus even if it means losing everything according to the world's standards. In this way, you will receive the honor and being recognized and counted with the greatest and most important winner of all time. And sometimes you have to take the loss really to learn what winning is. And you have to find that next step. And you have to figure out how to win. Let's see, January 3rd was Matthew 7:3. Why do you look at a speck of dust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? And kind of the quick synopsis of the reading at the bottom is, don't judge others so quickly. And without love, but yet you hide your own deeds. You may be pure with heart regardless of what others may be doing. Please help me and stand with you. Okay. So it's kind of like don't cast stones if you live in a glass house or what have you. So as far as that's all that I have really written out. Some of the things that I've kind of been contemplating as well, beyond that, is possible website or a blog system where you can look it up, you can email me, and then writing out like a one-page mailer for some of the non-tech people. Is kind of more of a long-form written newsletter. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I don't know if it's just going to be a publication on another within the website that I've been planning on building out, but we will see what it is. We will see what happens. And we will, we'll have to see what happens with this. I don't want to sit and try and say I'm going to do one every week because I know that I would fail at it. I don't want to say how often one of these can be done. But I think doing one every so often, maybe once a month, is completely reasonable. I don't know what my schedule is going to be like. I don't know how busy I'm going to be. I don't know how much time I'm going to have. And so I kind of want to set that bar very low. But I still want to show what happens behind the scenes, so that if other people are kind of in that same boat, they can kind of find what they want, they can find what they need, and have a better understanding outside of just someone saying, this is what happened. Then there's at least something. So if you stuck around with me for this long, I want to say thank you and God bless. I will see you the next time that I see you. I'm going to sit and edit this, try and figure out what to do next. Have a good week.